I don't know how, but our nice weather is still here, which is kind of mind-blowing because it's April, and you would think by now, I mean, it's Florida. Normally by now it would be super hot. We have our hot days, but it has been pretty freaking nice, which is amazing. So anyway, we have a beautiful day in Florida today, and we have a Miata to work on. So we are gonna take a break from the Subaru for a couple days, still waiting on a clutch, still waiting on the rear harness. iWire has the rear harness. It needed some repairs, so they're fixing it, and they're gonna send that to me. And then, like I said, waiting on the clutch to get the engine in. So there's not really anything we can do to it right now. There's like a couple little things, but there's a drift event this weekend. Since I only really got to drift the Miata for that like last couple sessions of the last day of the drift event, I'm really itching to go drive it. I'm really itching to drift it some more and tandem it some more and really feel it out. So we do have some work to get done on the Miata. We've got to realign the front. We got to cut some more crap out. I want to maybe change the handbrake setup, put a different resonator in, like a smaller one, which I have here. See how it sounds with the smaller one, because I kind of want it to be a little bit louder for drift events, and I can put the bigger one in for like street driving. That was the whole point of like V-banding the other one, so it's easy to swap out. We have a handful of things to do to the car to get it ready. I have a list. I'll look at the list once we get it up on the lift, but first we got to do some car musical chairs to get it up on the lift. The worst part about the car shuffle right now is that the GC doesn't steer because the steering shaft is disconnected because I got to change some stuff, and it obviously doesn't run. So you got to push it, and then you got to stop every few feet and kick the wheel a little bit to steer it where you need it to go. Okay, so the list. Oh wow, that tire's toast. Wow, that's kind of weird. This tire looked way more mint, but is actually more dead than this one. Kind of surprised by that. So we need to realign basically the whole car. Rear has too much camber. We have upper camber arms, as you can see, the eccentric up there, but they're maxed out. We're gonna work on that, try to figure that out, get our toe set in the rear. We need to add caster in the front. So we maxed out our caster back here, which is just pushing the arm out, which pushes it forward. And then we're gonna pull it in here all the way. Just gonna pull it forward even more. And then if we need to add some camber at that point, we can move it here. We can adjust our camber at the end. So we're gonna do that. My wheel is rubbing on the control arm. I thought I clearanced it enough, but apparently not. Still rubbing on the control arm. Let's probably fix that. Once we get the caster set, we need to recut our front bumper because it is cut out for pretty much no caster, which is what we had before. So now the wheel is further forward, it is gonna just eat it. So once we get it set and we know how much we have, we'll be able to see how much we need to cut out. Like I said, I want to install the smaller resonator. We got a handful of more things to do today to get the car ready for the drift event this weekend, which I'm very excited about. So I think we'll do the alignment stuff first. I've already got it all the way up, so we'll start messing with that and kind of explaining that. I need to replace this eccentric bolt. But yeah, so basically we are maxed out on the lower control arm right now. So if you think about it, it pushes out at the bottom, you know, which adds camber. If we pull the bottom in, reduces camber. Inverse on the top. We pull the top out, reduces camber, pull the top in, adds camber. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna max these in because we have tons of room to camber in on the upper arms because they're maxed all the way out right now. So we're gonna pull these all the way in on all four, and then we're going to see where the toe is at, and we will just adjust them enough to set our toe where we want it, and then we can do any further camber adjustments from the upper camber arm. So that is the plan. So we're gonna, I guess we'll do that first. We're gonna replace this eccentric, max them out, etc. All right, so we have all the eccentrics maxed in. As you can see, before we had some negative camber with the suspension at full droop. Now we actually have some positive. So definitely should be good there. Like I said, we can pull a bunch in at the top if we need to. So what we're gonna do now is set it down on our homemade race ramps. So we still have room to get under the car, but we can compress the suspension. Because that's where our alignment needs, like where the car needs to be aligned. If we can't align it at full droop, we need to align it while the weight of the car is on it so that all the arms and everything are at the angle they're gonna be at static ride height. So yeah, we're gonna drop it down, put the toe alignment stuff on it, and start aligning it. right, the rear is all set. We've got about a 16th inch toe in. I'm gonna have to really wait until I drive the car around, get the suspension to settle, and then I drive it up on ramps. The problem is as soon as you jack it up and the wheels fully droop, you gotta wait for your suspension to compress again. And mine compresses a lot with these 4K springs. It settles a lot rather. So, yeah, so I'm gonna have to finalize that. Camber wise, it looks like it's around 0. I didn't even bother checking it because on this car, since it's a drift car, like the only thing I'm doing with camber is setting it up so that I get even tire wear. So I really kind of have to just go to the track and see what it is and then adjust from there. That is one convenient thing about this suspension design. Since it's double A-arm, we adjust our toe down here and then that upper arm is purely camber. So if I'm at the track and I'm like, oh, I'm still getting a little camber wear, I can just, I mean, I can't adjust it out anymore now, but you know, I can just adjust it from the top, which is so nice. Because normally if you want to change your camber, you're gonna mess your toe up, then you're gonna have to reset your toe, and then your camber's gonna change a little bit, you just go back and forth, and it's not fun. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and max out the caster in the front, then we will realign the front, and then we can move on to bumper cutting. I'm saving the resonator welding and testing for last because it's gonna be my most fun project of the day, so I might as well save it for last. So by the time I'm over it, I'm doing something fun, not doing something I don't want to do. Usually a good way to go about it. Work on the projects you don't care to do first. Sandy agrees so much that she had to come out here and agree. Yeah, see? You know, Sands. Right, Sands? Yeah.
Hey guys, today on Taylor Ray's YouTube channel, we're gonna fix the alignment, you know?
That's right. Sandy knows what's up. So, if you ever have something where you can't double wrench it, like add the wrench to the other end, but it's really tight and it's like too hard, welding glove, and then gives you a little extra strength on the wrench because the wrench doesn't dig into your hand so hard. So I'm cranking really hard on these eccentrics because we have had them slip before when we didn't crank them super hard. So I'm trying to get them as tight as possible, and in theory we shouldn't have to change it at all from here because we're maxed out on caster. I mean, I hope not. I shouldn't say that because then we will have to change it. But yeah, so we just maxed out the caster. We'll bring it down, put it on the turn plate, set the toe, and then we can move on to cutting the bumper. That'll be fun. Not really looking forward to it. Cutting the bumper the first time sucked, but it came out all right, and I was like, all right, sweet, that wasn't that bad. But now I gotta do it again, and I feel like I'm gonna mess it up this time.
Dude, it's already destroyed. Just send it.
All right, fair enough. Well, we got lucky. It doesn't rub at all. We still have like the same clearance as before. I'll take it. I'm happy with it. Don't have to cut anything else right now. We are getting some custom wheels for this thing, so eventually we are probably gonna have to cut some more out, but there's no reason to do that now because we don't know how much we need to cut, if we will even need to cut anything. So might as well wait for that before we jump the gun. So next step, real quick, I need to grind the control arm down because that's what the wheel's rubbing on, and it is like toasting the inside of the wheel. It seemed like I had got it cleared enough, but obviously not quite. But yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we will jump on to the resonator. All right, so we got the front control arms clearance. Hopefully we're good there. If not, we'll probably end up destroying those wheels because one is pretty bad. But anyway, now we need to pull the resonator out. So I'm basically just gonna copy it, but I wanna add like an inch. I gotta measure and see exactly how much to add, but I wanna add a little bit so that I can center my exhaust more in the opening here because it's kind of offset to the left. We have room on the hanger to do so. So if possible, I'm gonna try to make it a little longer and then I'll move this over just a little bit. But first we gotta get it out. All right, before we start welding, we have a super appropriate melt time. I got this stuff in a couple days ago. So first off, we have aluminum and titanium pieces that were sent in to us. There's a note, hold on. Hey Taylor, my name is Ryan. I'm an aerospace fabricator, and as a big fan, I sent you some titanium and aluminum angle brackets for fun, etc. Super sick, super awesome. I will definitely end up using this stuff, and oh, that's a lot of titanium pieces. That's sick. and get some good practice. So thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Saw the way you were having to set up your welds in the previous video. I figured these would help. Keep ripping. Jaron Timmer. Huge shout out to Jaron. Sent me more of these. I have a couple of these like magnetic tabs, but I did need more of them because one's usually never enough. So we got some of those, and another thing I've neglected buying for a long time, a third hand. So this allows you to like kind of add a ground to something if you can't for whatever reason, and hold stuff down while it's grounded. So very, very exciting. Huge thanks to Jaron and Ryan. It's always so cool when I get stuff to the P.O. Box. It's like you never know what it's gonna be, and then you get it, and it's always some really thoughtful, like useful thing. And you're like, man, like I didn't even think myself to get something like that. Like, I don't know, it's really cool. Anyway, back to welding. So the first thing we gotta do is cut the resonator down to size. We need to shorten it a little bit. I do a terrible job, so I try to recut it a little bit, and then I have to grind it down. Still a little crooked. So then we clean up the resonator, get it all ready, clean up the V-band clamps to get them ready to weld. So now I've got to sharpen a bunch of tungsten. I run like a short back cap, so I have to break them in half. So I'm going through and just sharpening the best ones, so I have kind of like a plethora of them ready to go, because it's always annoying when you dip one, then you got to clean it and whatever. So now it's time to start tacking and getting ready to weld. I had some trouble with this. This resonator was really thin and it kept wanting to blow holes at first, but I got kind of the hang of it and was able to figure it out. So I'm using those nice mag tabs to hold it in place. The stainless isn't magnetic, but it at least gave it kind of like a brace to keep it from moving. But yeah, honestly, super straightforward, super easy little TIG welding job here. All right, welds are done. First one was kind of a mess. I don't know. I would slip with the torch, and I had a hard time keeping it consistent. Like it's okay. It's actually not as bad as it felt when I was welding it. But this side, go back to the start here. That was a long way. So the start was a little rough, as you can see, and then started to get it together through here. And then like this one's really good and consistent. And then this is probably the nicest one. Look at the colors in that too. I can never really get the welds up close on camera, but you can see it's like pretty solidly consistent. You can see where I start and stop, but other than that, it's like consistent dime shape, consistent size, and like travel distance and all that. It's probably one of the better welds I've ever done. So happy with that, because this one I was like, man, I'm sucking, which like I said, it doesn't even look as bad as I thought it did, but that one I feel confident about. All right, our new resonator is in. A lot more room in there without the big giant 6-inch diameter one. So hopefully it's not too loud and we keep the tone. That's kind of the goal here, because originally the reason I made this car loud and made it straight pipe from the start was because I've always had quiet cars and you can like never hear them at events. All you hear is the other cars. My cars have never been loud enough to be able to hear them. And I was like, you know what? I want at least this car to be loud enough for you to hear it. So I decided to do straight piped. We did that, and it was a little too loud. It was a little too loud, and mainly the tone. The tone was it was really good at like wide open throttle and idle, but then like cruising and certain RPMs, it just sounded raspy and gross. So anyway, we did the resonator, and I went the 6-inch because Ben was like, you need a big one, otherwise it's not gonna do anything. And it did make the tone a lot better, but it quieted it down a little too much. So I'm hoping that this one will be a good in-between. It'll fix the tone, but it'll make it louder. So we're about to find out. Current sound clip. Oh, hell yeah. That sounds mean. Snappy, which is exactly what I wanted it to sound like. Oh my God, it sounds so good. We gotta go drive it and see what it sounds like on a drive. Well, it's already dark, so tomorrow we'll go drive it around. I'll have a GoPro on the back so we can hear what the exhaust sounds like, wide open throttle and stuff cruising around. And I wanna check how the car drives with caster, see if it self-steers a little more now. We need to get the rear to settle so we can check the alignment again and see where that's at. But making good progress. So my tune with the new engine is kind of a little bit off. There's just this kind of weird spot where you're part throttle high RPM and it leans out and like kind of wants to break up a little bit, but other than that, it's fine. So I had Matt send me a new tune file. I also had him pull a little timing out because I think we had it pretty much maxed out with the 85. So I had him pull a little timing out, drop the rev limit some, and I think he set it up to where it's like 6,800, but when it hits, it drops it down 400 RPM and then it keeps it there or something. I don't know. I bounce off rev limit a lot, and it seems okay with the 7, but I would hate to smoke a motor for a couple hundred RPM. You know, and I'd hate to have to be like conservative on the rev limiter because, like, I don't know, sometimes you just want to hit the rev limiter when you're drifting. So anyway, we need to throw that tune on. I got my stuff to hook up. So we're going to throw that tune on and we're going to test drive it. There's something else I need to do before we do that. Oh, I want to hook up to my PMU and try to change my fan setting. So anyway, yeah, tune first. All right, we've got the new tune on. We're going to give this a shot. We'll data log it. It's pretty funny. It's like Facebook Messenger tuning. Matt sends me a tune file through Facebook Messenger. I give him input. Once I test it, sends me another tune. This is literally what we did on the dyno. Like, it was just so funny. Like, Facebook Messenger. All right, like AFR this, power this, whatever. Okay, next tune file. Like, it was just so funny. Matt is an awesome guy. Sloppy Mechanics. He's doing a really cool build right now. 8s for 8. So he's trying to go 8s for 8,000 in a Mustang. So it should be really interesting. I've been following along with it. But anyway, now I want to mess with the PMU. So we got the tune on. I'm going to data log that, but I want to mess with the PMU. So if those of you who don't know, I have this set up. I wonder if you can see it. Yeah, so that little box that looks like an ECU, it basically is. So it's a little computer that controls all my wiring. So that little box is all my fuses and relays. I have no fuses and relays. But anyway, I'm gonna mess a couple more things on there and then we will go take this thing for a drive. So Ben was over here ripping his bumper off and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, he's actually gonna replace the body panels on this car. Nope, just installing an oil cooler. Way less cool. Way less cool.
I mean, I might throw a different bumper on it.
Rips bumper off that's ripped in half, might throw another bumper on it. I'm getting off tangent. Let's go drive. So the steering still doesn't like to come back to straight. It is really heavy, and it's hard to actually push it when it's in the air. So we still got something dragging. It seemed to work okay at the last event with just the added caster, but there's a problem that needs to be solved one way or another. Oh, also, I gave myself a haircut trying to just cut the sides. It kind of looks bad, so when you guys see me without a hat on, I didn't pay for this. Run smoother, low RPM. We gotta let the oil warm up. Oh, we're listening to the sound. It's a little raspier, but it's not horrible. I have to hear it wide open. Still not too droney at all, actually. That was the main annoyance before, was like this speed. Oh, just like, it just sounded terrible. It's a real nice day for a cruise. It's a little on the warm side, but I mean, I can't complain. It's funny watching Cletus's video, one of the auction Corvette videos. And like, he's so focused on oil pressure. He's like, it's got good oil pressure. Like, that's his main concern. And that's been like me with this setup, you know, with the dry sump and like getting the car back together, the new motor. Like, I'm like, it runs good, but it has oil pressure. It has oil pressure. That's the biggest thing. That was a sick run. It's got oil pressure. It's just funny. RPMs, a little like raspy. You can kind of hear it. Oh, I got sports, you can hear it. It's rowdy. Made it to the gas station. Alright, so we still got some weirdness in the sound. Kind of back to when it was straight lines. I just wanted to hit the rev limiter and see what it was like. Still feels plenty powerful. We pulled a lot of timing out at the top to make it like safer, even though we're running E. It still feels nuts. I don't know how I feel about the rev limiter. It's like a real like da 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 instead of like a bop bop bop. We really have to see for rev limiter what it's like look at the track, if we need to change it at all, you know, like how it is in drift. Because like driving around the street, like rev limiter is kind of not irrelevant, but like, you know, how high you're going to rev it when you're going to shift is what's important. But you're ideally not going to be hitting the rev limiter. But in drift, burnouts, donuts, sliding, you're going to hit the rev limiter for sure. It's like guaranteed to happen. Added caster makes it feel, it feels like a lot more stable actually, which is kind of the inverse usually of what high caster does. You know, you usually lose straight line stability, but you gain turn in, and it feels more like planted or less twitchy. Without caster, it just felt like any increment in the car was like, ugh. I love this cooling system. This car, like sitting, it's honestly pretty toasty out today, and just sitting here, it's cooling down. Like it's cooling down from, it was like a little over 170. After all that, it's 167, 166. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like it actually cools down sitting. Fan shroud, big fans, really important. You don't have a fan shroud, you're wasting your time. Get a good fan shroud that's sealed to the radiator. Okay. Anyway. All right, I sent Matt the data log. We'll see what he says. I'm gonna see if he can send me a normal rev limit one too, because I don't know how that rev limit's gonna act like at the drift event. So we'll have an extra one, you know, or an extra tune we can put on it that's like a normal rev limit, so we can see what it's like. Or, you know, we can change it if we need to. All right, well, I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, we got really everything done that we wanted to get done. The car should be pretty much solid. Yeah, I mean, the tune feels solid. Car still feels really fast with a lot of timing out up top to keep it safe. But all in all, I mean, the car should be ready. Hopefully it should drive a lot better with the added caster. I'm really excited to see how it drives. Also, we got a big surprise tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow's video, big surprise. So I'm excited to show you guys that. But as for this is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.